You are smart, you're doing the work, you've set the goals, you've made the plans, maybe even journaled on your future self. But if you're still stuck, if you're feeling like success is right there but never quite landing, then this episode is going to show you why. Welcome back to the Aligned in Action podcast. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about how your beliefs shape everything: your habits, your confidence, and your results. Because the truth is, you don't get what you want in life, and you don't even get what you work for. You get what you believe that you can get. So, in this episode, we're going to unpack why your beliefs influence the way you show up every day, even when you don't realize it, the four core truths about beliefs that are absolute game changers. And once you realize them, you'll be able to change your life entirely. And what you can start doing today to shift things in a real, tangible way. And at the end of the episode, I will tell you about a free workshop that I am running on the 29th of April that will help you take all of this and actually apply it to your life. Because knowing the stuff is not enough, you have to live it. So let me take you back to one of the most defining periods, moments of my life. This was about 5 years ago, and I told the story before on the podcast, but I love returning back to it because I feel like it just, when you tell it, everything that I say lands so deeply and so differently. So, about 5 years ago, I was applying for two of the most competitive PhD scholarships in the UK. It's in one of the top universities in the UK, and one person gets it each year. One. And just to make it clear how crazy this was, I was living in a country that wasn't my own. I am not from the UK originally, studying in a language that isn't my mother tongue, and everyone around me kept saying the same thing to me: only one person gets this each year. Don't get your hopes up. And I know their intentions were good. They didn't want me to get disappointed, like loved ones usually do. And for a brief moment, I believed them. The old voice crept in and said, why would they pick you? But then I remember speaking to my grandfather on the phone. I told him what people were saying to me. And he sounded honestly completely calm, completely certain. He always believed in me. I was so lucky to have a person in my life who believed in me so deeply. And he said, well, you are only one person. And that's when something clicked for me. I had always believed I was an exceptional student. Like that identity was built from years of proof: top marks, grades, awards, opportunities. So when he said that, it wasn't even just encouragement. It really landed. It made sense to me. Like, if one person gets it, why shouldn't it be me? So I decided to show up like someone who was already selected for this scholarship, these two scholarships. So, as I talked about in a previous episode, I did this like challenge or experiment without even realizing it at the time or without calling it at the time. But for a few months I literally worked at manifesting these scholarships. I journaled every day, I visualized every day. I embodied that version of me who was already doing her PhD with these two scholarships every single day. I held that energy of certainty and I did it. I won both scholarships, the very ones that people told me were completely out of reach. Now, let me contrast this with another part of my life, which is starting and growing my business. When I started my business over 2 years ago, honestly, all of that confidence from studying dissolved. I had no proof I could succeed in this space because I'd never run a business before. I had no track record, just my message and so much self doubt. I went from feeling unstoppable in one arena to constantly second guessing myself in another. And as a result, I struggled. I saw other women who started their coaching businesses the same time as me, who had the same business mentors as me, skyrocket their business for the first year when I was struggling to get clients. And when I did, most were completely unaligned and misaligned with the women that I wanted to work with. And the difference between that woman who manifested those rare PhD scholarships so easily and the woman who really struggled for the first year of business, even longer, is belief. So, as I said, in my studies, it was very, very easy for me to believe that I could do it because I had so much proof. In business, I didn't. I, in fact, had a lot of limiting beliefs, and I dive into this story in a previous episode of this podcast. But over the last 2 years, over 2 years, I've had to consciously, repeatedly upgrade my identity. I've had to rewire the beliefs that were keeping me small. And I've learned firsthand that when you shift the beliefs that are keeping you small and keeping you stuck, the results begin to change in ways that feel almost magical, like almost unbelievable. So let's go deeper into why all of this matters. And that's because if you don't understand how beliefs actually work, you'll keep trying to change your life with logic, with strategy, with all the to do lists and all the hard work in the world, but nothing will really stick for you. So let me walk you through 4 truths that will help you see beliefs in a whole new way. So, number 1 is beliefs are not facts. Beliefs are not facts. Beliefs are just thoughts that we've repeated enough times with enough emotion that they feel real. But that doesn't mean that they are real. You might believe, for example, that you are bad with money or that you're not cut out for being in a leadership position. And yes, maybe those beliefs can be true for the time being. Maybe you are currently in debt, or maybe you've led a team and you weren't great at it. That part is fact. But the belief that I am bad with money or I can't be a leader turns that fact into a fixed identity, like it's something permanent. And that's where we get stuck because people do change. People get out of debt. People learn. People evolve. So just because something's true in the moment doesn't mean it has to define you forever. Beliefs are powerful not because they're true, but because they shape how we see ourselves and what we think we are capable of. And because our brains prefer familiarity over accuracy, we repeat the same thoughts until they feel like reality. If you think to yourself, for example, I am not good at selling, every time you try to pitch, your nervous system will resist. Not because a belief is true, but because your nervous system is trying to keep you safe. And how does it keep you safe? But keeping you where you feel comfortable, where it feels familiar. Now, imagine you flip that. What if you started believing that your audience cannot wait to buy from you, or that your words land really deeply with your dream clients? Then your actions and your energy would be completely different. You would feel safe with those beliefs. Your nervous system will support that, and you will start seeing results. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Beliefs don't need to be true to be powerful. Beliefs don't need to be true to be powerful. Let that land. Your beliefs might not be logical. They might not make sense, but they still run the show. This is why people who believe that they'll fail usually do, not because they are destined to fail, but because they act in alignment with failure. They don't prepare, they hold back, they hesitate, they self sabotage, and so they create that thing that they were scared of and the thing that they expected. And meanwhile, the people with delusional confidence, the ones who believe that they can't lose no matter what, they often quantum leap. They risk more, they show up bigger, and then it works for them. Your subconscious doesn't care if something is logical. It cares if something feels familiar. If your belief is, I always figure things out, you will approach any challenge with resilience, with the knowing that you can figure it out, right? But if your belief is, things never work out for me, you will sabotage, shut down, and these things won't work out for you. Let's move on to number 3. The third truth about beliefs is that people act as if their beliefs are true, even without proof. So let's say you believe you are bad at public speaking. No one's told you that. Maybe you've never even tried it, but you hold that belief. So maybe you avoid opportunities. Maybe you stay silent even when you have opportunities to speak. You never actually build that skill. And so, in your mind, the belief becomes true. This is why it's so powerful to identify the stories that you are leaning into. Your belief system is the script that you're acting from. And most of the time, we don't even realize we're following that script. So, yes, beliefs can come from proof, but sometimes we have beliefs that we can firmly believe in even without proof. And that's why self awareness is so, so important. And number 4 is beliefs are self fulfilling prophecies. This is the big one. Once you hold a belief, your brain starts looking for ways to confirm it. It filters your reality to match that belief. If you believe that you're always behind, you'll notice every task that you didn't complete and every deadline that you missed, and actually ignore the 5 major things that you did get done. If you believe that you're not meant for big success, you'll hold yourself back just enough to keep that belief safe. And then you'll say, see, I knew it. But the reverse is also true. When you believe you're the kind of woman who does the thing, who follows through, who shows up powerfully, and who gets results no matter what, your actions shift to match that. So if you want different results, you need to start with different beliefs. So, how do we shift this? How do we actually change the results that we're getting? That starts with identity. The version of you who has the results that you want is not working harder, okay? She is operating from a different internal blueprint. She believes different things about herself. She believes that she's consistent, for example. She believes she can make good decisions. And she believes she's the kind of woman who figures things out, who wins in life. And that belief drives everything that she does. Now, let's take this from theory to practice. I want you to grab a journal or open your notes app and write these questions down. First of all, what is one result you haven't been able to create yet? Ask yourself this and answer. The answer should come pretty quickly. There's usually one thing we are focusing on, 1 to 2 things we focus on at any given time that we feel like we are stuck there. Then the second question is, what belief have you been Then the second question is, what belief have you been holding on to that has led you to not achieving that result? I'm going to repeat that. What belief have you been holding on to that has led you to not achieving that result? This one might require a bit more thinking, but honestly, you'll probably be able to figure it out quite quickly. After you figure it out, the third question I want you to ask yourself is, did you choose that belief? Did it come from someone else? Is this belief universally true? Or is it just a story you've been experiencing and telling yourself? Look at it very, very objectively. Is this universally true? Or is it just a story that you've been telling yourself and have been experiencing as a result? The fourth question is, who would you be without that belief? Picture a life, a day, a scenario where you don't have that belief. That belief has just been erased from your brain. Imagine it's like a wire connected like a plug connected to a socket, and someone just pulled it out. Suddenly you don't have that belief anymore. Who would you be? You can describe characteristics, you can describe a day in the life, you can script whatever works for you. And then the fifth and last question I want you to ask is, what's a more empowering belief that you could choose instead? So if we go back to this analogy of connecting a plug to a socket, what other plug could plug into the socket instead, right? What would you have to believe about yourself for the results that you want to come true? What would you have to believe about yourself for the results that you want to come true? Now, this process might feel simple to some of you, but most people never do it. Most people stay loyal to old stories and old beliefs because they are comfortable. But the moment you challenge these stories, you really start changing the ending of these stories. Now, let's tie it all together. I want you to understand that the woman who has the results you want is not just working harder, okay? She is operating from a different identity and has different beliefs. She has boundaries. She knows when to say yes, when to say no, or she does it with confidence. She trusts herself, her voice, her intuition. She leads. She doesn't need permission. She doesn't necessarily wait until she feels ready. She decides and she acts from that decision. And mainly, she believes that things work out for her, that everything is figure outable, and that she always wins. And that's how things change. That's how we collapse timelines and become that version of ourselves who achieves everything that she sets out to achieve. So, if this is landing for you and you're ready to actually do this work, not just think about it, not just nod along or listen to another podcast episode straight after this, completely forgetting everything that we just talked about. I want to invite you to a free workshop I am hosting on Tuesday, the 29th of April. It is going to be all about upgrading and rewiring your identity, and it's for the woman who's done with starting and stopping, done with setting big goals, doing all the work, and yet never achieving these goals, done with doubting herself, done with staying in that same loop. In this workshop, I'm going to teach you how to identify and shift the core beliefs that are holding you back, how to step into a self image that actually supports your goals. I'm going to teach you daily practices that will transform how you show up, how you execute, and manifest the life you're truly capable of creating. And I'm also going to be talking about how to start embodying the version of you who just has it all and is living her dream life. Now, if you can't make it live to the workshop, don't worry. If you sign up, you will get the recording, so make sure you do go ahead and sign up. And this workshop is also the first glimpse into something very new and very exciting that I have been working on. It's a new offer coming really, really soon that will completely transform the way you operate on a daily basis. It's designed to help you take the identity work and actually apply it consistently with accountability, with community, with support from like minded women, and from someone who gets it, someone who has been through it, someone who is going through it and is upgrading her identity all the time to match her next level vision and next level results. That's all I'm going to say for now. But if you're curious, if you're feeling the nudge, come to the workshop. The link is in the show notes. Make sure you sign up. And as I said, if you can't make it live, that's fine. You will still get the recording. So, some final words just to wrap this episode up. If you don't like your current results, don't go looking for another strategy. Instead, I want you to check your beliefs. Beliefs shape identity. Identity shapes behavior, and behavior creates results. So change what you believe about yourself, and the rest will follow. You've got this. I trust you. I support you. I know you are capable of anything that's on your heart and anything you set your mind to. I'll see you inside the workshop and see you in the next episode.